Good morning. Welcome to the program agenda. I'm your host, Cito Beltran, thanking you once again for joining us and hoping that today is a better day than yesterday. Today is April 26, 2023. It's a Wednesday. We have reached the middle of the week, the third week, or is it, well, last week na, bale, di ba? The final week of April, and next month, the hotness begins. Sabi nga nila, please conserve water, please do your best to stay cool, calm and collected, and if things are not working out, or if, like me, yesterday, you are going through a rough spot, I would recommend listening to praise music, to God, spiritual music, because it drives the devil out of the house. Kumbaga, pag medyo talaga nararamdaman yung binibwisit kayo ng demonyo or bad feelings, surround yourself with good things, particularly good music. And I recommend, listening to Sela. This morning, I was listening to You Raise Me Up by the band or the group Sela. And it was a very interesting experience because I decided to look at the lyrics, which is available on Spotify, and the lyrics started rolling out. And there's this praise in the song You Raise Me Up, where they sing, you come and sit a while with me. And I realized as if, God was saying to me, I'm sitting with you. I'm here to sit a while with you. And it becomes very personal. I do hope that you all take time out. Maski na 5 minutes lang, maski na 2 minutes lang, take time out to sit a while with the Lord, because He may just be right there beside you. So the song is You Raise Me Up, the band Sela, or you can also Sela. You can also listen to the version of Josh Groban. Speaking of inspiration, let's now go to our daily starter, and it is from psychologist Susan David, who gave a talk in the TED Talk series on YouTube. And she goes, discomfort is the price of admission to a meaningful life. Okay, many of the patients of Susan David, psychologist, would tell her, I don't want the complication, I don't want these challenges, I wish I had life that was less stressful, I wish I didn't have to suffer, etc., etc. And Susan David, I don't know if she's a doctor or not, but she basically says, what you are wishing for when you wish that you didn't have the pain, the stress, the challenge, the difficulty, what you are wishing for is to live the life of the dead, because only dead people don't feel those things, don't have those things. So think about it. It's brutal, but it's true. And it kind of sobers you up if you're stressed because of the many decisions you have to make, because you are stressed by your surroundings or office or schoolwork, etc. Well, as my lovely wife loves to say, the alternatives could be worse, okay? You may be living the life of the dead. Ika nga nila. So, there we go. Our daily starter for the day. Discomfort is the price of admission to a meaningful life. Let's now go to the front page of the Philippine Star for the unexpected headline as of yesterday morning. Today, the headline is SIM registration extended 90 days. Okay? At nagpalakpakan po ang maraming tao sa mga blib-lib na barangay. Okay? President Marcos approved yesterday a 90-day extension of SIM card registration, a day before the deadline to allow an estimated 20 million more subscribers register their SIM cards as provided for in a recently enacted law designed to eliminate fraud scams. The deadline for the mandatory registration of new and existing SIM cards under Republic Act 11934 or the SIM Registration Act was originally set for today. O, ayan na. Nag-alert pa yung mga kinaukulan and then extend. But congratulations to the authorities, because whether we like it or not, the extension is necessary because we are discovering the complications confronting many Filipinos. That's 20 million who cannot just go online and register their SIM card. May mga challenges po, and we will discuss that with our guest today to find out what exactly was causing the delay, what were the problems faced by 20 million Filipinos, and what else is going to be done to make sure that the intention of the law, the mandate, is fulfilled and that the subscribers, owners of SIMs can finally get their units registered, etc. So please stay with us later after I read the news. Okay. At the top of the front page, DepEd eyes removal of mother tongue subject. Medyo magkakalituhan po tayo dito. Baski ako, nalito ako nung binasa ko. The Department of Education, or DepEd, has proposed early teaching of English and the removal of the separate mother tongue subject in the primary level. Okay, primary. So that means elementary o sa grade 1 to 12 siguro. Based on the draft of the revised basic education curriculum released by the DepEd last week, English will be taught as early as the first quarter of grade 1 students, for grade 1 students, earlier than the current third quarter, which is okay because the sooner you teach them, the better they learn. Quote, anchored on the language framework of the K-12 curriculum, the enhanced English curriculum reflects the dynamic nature of the language and to distinguish Philippine English from the English of not one of and not for the native speakers. Ayan, dyan na medyo lumito-lito kung ano yung sinasabing Philippine English. But in any case, the news is DepEd is planning the removal of the mother tongue subject. Now, ang question dito, sasabihin ng mga Bisaya, alin ba yung mother tongue? Alin ba yung tunay na English? Because some people say Filipinos are actually better English speakers than native English speakers. Anyway, we will find out in the days to come. We will interview someone regarding that. Meanwhile, eto medyo ironic. BBM counting remaining days in his presidency. Nagbibilang na ng nalalabing araw. Okay? Si President Bongbong Marcos. He is just about to enter his second year in office, but President Marcos said he is already counting the remaining days of his administration, describing everything he does as urgent. Marcos said being president is a real privilege that allows him to help a lot of people, so he is trying to maximize his time. Okay, kumbaga, maybe we can make that a little biblical. Teach us to number our days. Huwag nating sayangin ang ating mga araw o nalalabing araw. Let us not waste our time and our days. And even the president is realizing that he has to have a countdown to remind him that he's got a lot of stuff to get done. Meanwhile, speaking of countdown, the BIR, on the other hand, no estate tax for amnesty for BBM. Hindi naman pala countdown. Nakita ko kasi BIR eh. Akala ko may countdown si BIR dahil may missile, may picture. Anyway, BIR, no estate tax amnesty for BBM. At the middle, in the middle of the front page, we have, eto na, rocket launching na. Ang makikita niyong photo, okay, as the U.S. Air Force's Patriot surface-to-air defense system is fired during the U.S.-Philippine Balikatan exercises in San Antonio, Zambales yesterday. At right, a U.S. soldier loads an Avenger missile system as part of the military drills. Okay, please absorb that photo because that photo is similar to the things that happened in Ukraine before and currently in the war with Russia. Because before the war with Russia, the Ukrainian forces or military were being trained, were being equipped and familiarized by Canada, America, England in the use of advanced weaponry like the one you see on the screen. Yan po ngayon, that Patriot surface-to-air defense system is the one used for the drones, etc. And the Avenger missile is that the military personnel are loading are the ones used for bringing down drones and helicopters in Ukraine. Okay, so ayan po, kumbaga pinaghandaan, and now in our part of the world, we are seeing the same thing being extended to our military personnel. Speaking of uniformed personnel, Acorda, okay, the newly appointed Philippine National Police Chief General General Benjamin Acorda Jr. Vows to fight drugs and rogue cops. Okay, the PNP chief said the fight against illegal drugs, insurgency, terrorism, and police calawags will be among his main concerns as the new top cop of the country. At a press briefing yesterday, Acorda told reporters that the usual things being done by the police to ensure country security will be emphasized under his watch. Sana po, maliban sa anti-illegal drugs, anti-insurgency, anti-terrorism, anti-scalawags, gawin ninyo yung anti-gambler. May mga pulis kasi raw na nalulung na sa online sabong, sa weteng, at sa kung ano-ano pa yung ibang araw kung ano-anong mga gambling, forms of gambling na ang naging problema. Meanwhile, government sees end of CPP NPA in 2 years. Ito na naman. Ito na naman tayo. Nag-forecast na naman. Okay, it is expected or forecasted that the government now considers the Communist Party of the Philippines and its armed wing, the New People's Army, as a dying threat that will finally end in the next 2 years. Okay, that is according to the National Security Council. Okay, I believe. Okay, so we will abangan. We will make abangan that story. The bottom of the front page, DOST funds development of oral COVID vaccine. So, Ginoo, okay. I mean, I believe, I agree in, research and scientific development. But, DOST funds development of oral COVID vaccine. Baka naman mas maganda yung development of vaccine first, not the transmission. Okay, Department of Science and Technology has bankrolled the University of Santo Tomas ambitious research and development project to develop a yeast-based oral vaccine. Oral. Akala ko naman way of death. Mali. My bad. Akala ko way of injecting the vaccine. Hindi pala. Vaccine pala mismo. My bad. Okay. Medyo mahina na ang pagbabasa. And that's about it. Let's now go for a quick break, if I'm not mistaken, Gab, or shall we go straight to our interview? Hello, Gabriel. Calling. Okay. Anyway, as I mentioned earlier, there's something going on here. I hope. Okay, we will go for a quick break. Okay, we will go for a break, and when we return, pag-usapan nga natin yung SIM card registration na yan and this very timely postponement of the deadline, and we will be right back here on Agenda. Welcome back to the program Agenda, and as I mentioned earlier, and as featured on the front page of major newspapers, the SIM card registration deadline, which is supposed to take place today or be implemented today, has been pushed back by another 90 days or almost, 90 days or 3 months. And this is good news for many people in the provinces or who are challenged by the type of cell phone they have, challenged by where they are, or who are not even aware, believe it or not, kahit sa haba ng ingay natin, kamakailan lang nalalaman ng mga iba na meron palang SIM card registration kasi pag may alarm or may notice, hindi naman nila pinapansin until the government got serious with it. Anyway, let's introduce our guest for today because he will be the one to explain to us what the real situation is and what can we expect with all of this. Gab, please roll out the Betamax.
Jon Paulo Salvahan is the Deputy Commissioner of the National Telecommunications Commission. Prior to this, he was a Justice Undersecretary. Salvahan was also a Senior Associate at the Medialdea, Bello, and Suarez law firm.
Okay, DepCom, John, good morning. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Sir Cito. Thank you for having us here in your program po.
Okay, maraming nagpapasalamat na nagkaroon ng extension, especially in the provinces where they thought that it would be the end. Many people were worried, patay, mapipilitan tayong bumili ng bagong SIM card, magpalit ng phone number, etc. So the 90-day extension is good news, but what we'd like to ask, the first question, bro, is what happened? What really drove? Kasi sabi sa news, 20 million pa raw yung hindi nakaka-register.
Yes, sir. No, actually, as of now, the current numbers reflect that out of 168 million, we only have 87.4 million registered subscribers, or that comprises only 52.04% of the total number of reported active SIMs as of December 2022. But yung 20 million number, sir, as mentioned by Secretary Ivan Uy, is probably the remaining number of the legitimate users or those really using SIMs which have not yet registered. And we took them into consideration in deciding on whether or not we should extend the deadline. We also took into consideration po the timing of the announcement since in the past few days, we've seen a sharp increase in the number of registrants. In fact, just yesterday or the other day, we had around 4.5 million daily registrants, Sir Cito.
Okay, kasi sa napapag-usapan, dapat pinabayaan nyo muna ng 1 week o 2 weeks na walang magamit na telepono yung mga tatamad-tamad bago ninyo in-extend. What would be the repercussions of this extension? Because baka magaya tayo doon sa vaccine when people said, next week, next month na lang, etc.
Right now, Sir Cito, we're studying and discussing introducing some modifications, no, not in the registration process itself, but in the effects of the non-registration within the 90-day period. As mentioned po by Sec Ivan yesterday, we might introduce some sort of incentives wherein some of the services might be deactivated, but that is still the subject of legal and technical study, Sir Cito.
Yeah, if you would, could you repeat what the good secretary announced yesterday? Because I would tend to agree. When people can't use certain apps, they panic. It's a very good incentive because I saw that in with one of our staff na nung hindi niya magamit, parang Sir, ba't hindi ko magamit? Sabi ko, nagpa-register ka na ba ng SIM mo? Anyway, go ahead. DepCom.
Yes, sir. We're studying that if that is legally feasible given the parameters of the law as well as technically operational given the capacities of the telcos. And if there's time to implement that if and when it is found to be legally and technically feasible. So yun po, we as mentioned by Secretary Ivan, we're considering deactivating some of these apps like TikTok, Facebook, or well, no offense to these apps, no, naman po, no, Sir Cito, but yun lang po nakikita that these are the apps which are most used by our subscribers. So if they feel that if they cannot use it anymore, they might be motivated to register their SIMs.
So how will that work, Paulo, DepCom? Because okay, so sabihin natin, use me as your example. I have a phone, I have a SIM card, hindi ko na register. How do you do it? Does the NTC have some technology where you are able to essentially how do you turn off the app?
It won't be the NTC, Sir Cito. It will be the PTEs or the telcos which will implement that. They have a sort of a white listing of apps wherein they could allow certain apps to be functional on the phones of these unregistered subscribers. But as I've said, Sir Cito, that will be the subject of a much study if it is technically feasible and legally also.
Yeah, well, let's set aside the legal, although I believe you are a lawyer, so I'm sure you could talk on that. But on the technical side, it is feasible kasi baka sabihin na naman ng mga nanonood na pintasero, naku, maniwala ka dyan, hindi nila magagawa, walang kakayanan ng NTC. So, as it turns out, you would then go to the telco, you would go to Smart, Globe, and you would then tell them, okay, those who are not officially legally registered, switch off all of those apps.
That is the plan, or that is being talked about, Sir Cito.
And the telcos can do it.
We've asked for their comments, for their readiness and timeline that they could look at as to how soon can they implement that type of whitelisting. Yeah,
is there a sense of urgency, Deputy Commissioner? Because I don't know if ako lang yung nakakapansin, but in the last 2 weeks, as the deadline for SIM registration approached, I got more and more scam, phishing, all of these illegal solicitations on my phone. And I said, ito, nagmamadali itong mga criminal na ito, last minute, they're rushing. Has the NTC noticed that?
Yes, Sir Cito. No, we've seen but just a slight increase in reports. As we've mentioned before po, no, we used to have around 1,500 complaints daily ng ito po mga scam text, fraudulent text. It went down to around 100, 150 when we started the SIM registration. But in recent weeks po, for the past week, we've seen a slight increase in the number of daily reported scam texts. But yes, to answer your question, Sir Cito, there's a sense of urgency to implement those types of incentivization mechanisms so as to urge the public to register more, and that we could get over the deadline as fast as we could, so that we could feel the benefits and the purpose of the law, Sir Cito, which is to lessen criminality using SIMs.
Okay, now I have to ask questions that people have asked me to ask, so please bear with me. Some people are asking, bakit kailangan ng deadline? First question, why the deadline? Why does the law provide for a deadline? Is there a logic, reason, or legal point to it?
Yes, Sir Cito, we have to clarify that po. No? The deadline refers to those active SIMs, meaning those SIMs which are already in use prior to the effectivity of the law. The deadline doesn't apply to new SIMs or those yet to be bought by the public, because for those new SIMs, the registration will be continuous. Wala pong deadline po yun. It is only for those active SIMs, because if we don't put a deadline for these active SIMs to be registered, then people won't register their SIMs and their active SIMs anymore.
Okay, now what about yung new SIMs? Whose burden will it be to register the SIM? Because some people are saying naman, di bibili na lang akong bagong SIM, pero dapat ang magrehistro yung vendor habang binibili ko. At the point of purchase, the registration should be undertaken by the vendor and not, selling it to another client and then the client has to go home. We're recycling or, we're repeating the cycle again.
No, Sir Cito, it is the subscriber who has the burden or the obligation to register, because when you purchase a new SIM, it is in a deactivated state, meaning you cannot use it for anything except for the purpose of registration. And then once you register, that's the only time that you'll be able to use your SIM for any of the telecommunication services available.
Ayun. So you're buying a card and it won't become a working card until you register.
That's correct po.
Okay, ngayon, pasensya ka na, DepCom, kasi wala rin ako alam dito no? But may mga nagsusumbong, including my wife, na pang-Englishero raw that the SIM card registration is favored towards those who can speak English, read English, and write English. And then, kailangan pa raw ng phone that is camera enabled. Please explain what the kasi honestly, I didn't register. The service provider registered our SIM cards.
Yes, sir. No, because of the requirements of the law po, the telcos created their platform in that way. We required po kasi yung post-verification process wherein selfies have to be taken to verify if the registering subscriber is indeed the one registering, meaning yung ID presented, if you are indeed the 1% or the one depicted in your ID. So that's the reason why you have to take a selfie po. Now, for those po, we understand that we still have a lot of subscribers using feature phones or yung pong mga analog o yung naka-keypad lang. So, ang ginagawa po dyan, what the government does is we go to these far-flung areas, to these remote areas. In fact, the NTC is already in its 14th week of conducting facilitated SIM registration in remote areas and assist our kababayans po in registering. We bring the telcos with us, so the telcos have their personnel, and then yung pong mga SIMs po nung mga kababayan na natin sa feature phone, inilalagay po muna momentarily do sa either tablet or smartphone para po doon makaregister yung kababayan po natin.
So kumbaga, okay, smart yun okay yun Bali ko kunin mo yung SIM card nung taong walang, yung SIM card na walang smartphone, ililipat mo sa smartphone, ire-register mo yung SIM card. Pero hindi mare-register yung phone data nung smart,
Hindi po. Yung SIM lang po ang mare-register po doon.
Okay, so kung ba nag-piggybank, umangkaso, naghabal-habal sa smartphone para ma-register lang yung SIM card. So, I mean, even kahit na hindi kayo pumunta, hindi ba? Makahahanap lang sila ng smartphone. Every barangay, meron namang nag-GCash sa every barangay. So, sigurado ko na pag in-announce niyo yan, kung wala kayong smartphone, pumunta lang kayo doon sa barangay at isaksak. Are you working with the DILG on this also? Kasi, DepCom, alam ko, limited ang budget ng NTC.
Wala akong budget talaga.
Walang budget Di butas ang bulsa ninyo. Ilang barangay pa lang kayo. Zero balance na. What about just working with the barangays? Because, during typhoons, the barangays have charging centers, etc. Water refilling station. Aba, napakasimple naman sigurong, sige, dalhin nyo yung mga SIM card nyo dito, kami na magre-register.
That's what we've been doing po, Sir Cito. We've been coordinating with the local city and town mayors, the barangay officials, barangay captains. When we announced po that the government will be conducting facilitated SIM registration in a certain site, what we do first is to coordinate with the local government officials.
Attorney, dandaan ka lang. The whole show is yours.
Yes, sir.
Okay, anyway, so you go to the barangays, you talk to the mayor, the barangay captain, tapos?
Once we've talked to them, we say po kung kailan yung date na magko-conduct ng facilitated SIM registration in their area. We ask them for a venue, a suitable venue wherein we can conduct the facilitated SIM registration. And then once the date is set po, we go in that site together with the telcos, the 3 telcos, and then it's the local government officials po who announces it to their constituents, and then encourages them to go to that site and then register po.
Okay, now, ang tanong ko, DepCom, what about areas where medyo tagilid ang signal? Kasi, alam mo, ito I have a small place in Lipa City, in Batangas. City na yan, but there are areas na, and I think this is the case all over the country. Yun nga, tampo ko kay Sec Ivan na ilabas na niya yung latigo niya. Kasi merong smart territory, merong globe territory, merong ano ba yung isang dito, 'di ba? Parang and the one family we're assisting, we had to change the Wi-Fi twice. Kasi sabi, sir, hindi ko kasi umaabot lagi dito, yung mga bata hindi makapag-aral. So, sige, pakibili niyo nga sila ng ibang Wi-Fi. So, how do you solve that problem?
Yun po, no, for areas where there are no or weak signal, yun po yun, no. We go to nearby barangays or to nearby cities or to within their city, and then encourage them to go to that site po wherein merong signal po so that they could register in that site. Kasi
sorry, Paulo, Jon Paulo, wala ba silang standalone units or portable yung mga ganon? Kasi here's the problem, and please bear with me. Ito kinikwento sa akin. Sir, para po pumunta kami sa bayan, gumagastos po kami ng 200 para sa tricycle, para sa jeepney, tapos pipila pa ho kami, etc. Arawan lang po kami namamasukan. We are daily wage earners. We have to commute going to the nearest city hall. And that's why half of the time, it's really a burden to the poor. In fact, people I know who don't judge call this as one of the anti-poor situations in the Philippines.
Well, Sir Cito, the telcos have their yung tinatawag nilang COW, yung COW or connectivity on wheels. Okay. Wherein but they have a limited number of it. Ang lang po doon, mahirap doon, this is like the size of an ice cream truck. And most of the areas wherein there's no signal, it's hard to reach, yung mga hard to reach areas po yan. You have to travel by bodies of water. So, hindi rin po ma-load yung connectivity on wheels na yon ng mga telcos for them to have a temporary signal in the area. So, what we do po, yun nga, is to coordinate with the local government units na at least encourage their constituents to go to this particular site wherein they could register. And minsan naman po, if these cows, so yung connectivity on wheels po kasi, these are already deployed in the country po, no? So if there's a nearby area wherein these cows could be deployed to have a temporary signal, the telcos do that naman po. Dinedeploy po nila yung connectivity on wheels nila.
Do you have an active or ongoing relationship with the DILG? Kasi maraming barangay officials clueless about these services, these activities, and I think that if the DILG were to spend more time promoting that with the NTC, it would really help a lot of these poor Filipinos.
We've had discussions po with the DILG before, but we intend to intensify pa po yung coordination with the DILG given this 90-day extension period. So that yung, for example nga po, that's correct, Sir Cito, there are barangays who doesn't know yet itong SIM registration. So we plan to reach those barangays po in coordination with the DILG.
Okay, what about the language barrier? I don't know how true it is, but I have had two, three complaints when people would tell me, sir, ang hirap naman mag-register eh. Napaka-nosebleed ng English dyan eh.
Sir Cito, the law made sure that the SIM registration will be as pain-free as possible, no? In fact, for data and information lang po ang required dyan. It's just the name, the gender, the birth date, and the address. Yun lang po ang kailangan yung isupply na information. Plus the government-issued ID, present the government-issued ID. Yun lang po.
Okay.
Wala na pong iba na kailangan kayong isupply and those are readily available po sa inyo.
Wait a minute. Baka naman yung pinag-uusapan natin, different context. I think it is the online registration. John, yung sa online registration ba, Inglesero?
Yun lang po, no? The language used is English, no? We only have, ano po, Sir Cito, we only have an online platform kasi that's mandated by the law po. Wala pong tinakda na manual.
Pero you as NTC, DepCom, pwede naman yung sigurong pakiusapan yung yung telcos na pwede ba imbis na Siri ba yun? Yung pwede ba medyo tawagin nyo na lang si Marites na si Marites na lang ang magturo paano mag-online because that is now I remember that was one of the complaints. Sir, Inglesero ho eh. Masarap nga yung online kasi hindi na kami bibiyahe. Pero hindi naman namin maintindihan itong English na ito.
Mm-hmm. We will coordinate with the telcos po, no? Siguro within the 90-day period if there's a need to yung use it in a local dialect po, yung language nila para mas makaraming makaregister as mas maraming makaintindi. Sige, we will coordinate po with the telcos on that.
Yeah, pati sa Visayas, nako, maraming doon mas mainit ang ulo ng tao pag biglang tinatagalog sila. Sabi naman ng iba doon, mag-English na lang kayo, wag lang kayo mag-Tagalog. Anyway, DepCom, let's go for a quick break. When we return, I'd like to tackle this issue about ID in the registration because that seems to be another obstacle for many poor Filipinos in the provinces. We'll be right back here on Agenda. Okay, welcome back to the program agenda. I'm your host, Cito Beltran, and joining us today is the Deputy Commissioner of the National Telecommunications Commission, none other than DepCom, Jon Paulo Salvahan. DepCom, let's go to that. Let's backtrack a little. You were saying that the requirements were primarily a selfie and an ID picture for identification, cross-referencing, ika nga nila. But here's the problem, the reality in the provinces. Many kids are born without a birth certificate. Unless you are old enough to work, you don't have an SSS. Baka barangay ID, but even that is a problem. How are we remedying the situation? Because maganda rin yung nagkakaproblema eh. I love problems because they point out defects and deficiencies and gives us the reason to address them.
Yes, Sir Cito, no, we've been receiving reports nga po about the lack of government-issued IDs as reason for not being able to register. What we say po is the law and the IRR provided a number of IDs. No, in fact, 16 identified IDs. So you need to present only at least one of those 16 IDs. And more than that, there's a catch-all provision there, number 17, which says that other valid government-issued ID with photo is also accepted. So tama po, barangay IDs are being accepted as long as it's with a photo of the subscriber.
Okay.
But we recognize po that there are reports, and together with the DICT, we're already looking at how to improve or how to address that issue on lack of IDs. Yun nga po, we plan to coordinate with the DILG so that they could also coordinate with their barangays for the issuance or easy issuance of these barangay IDs po.
Yeah, good idea yan, John, DepCom John, kasi we need to start somewhere. And if we require barangays to issue official IDs, then it will help. Kasi some students that we were helping and we still are helping, hindi makapag-open ng savings account or bank account because wala raw silang ID. Hinihingan sila ng 2 official ID. Sabi ko, tinamaan naman ng A1 saan kukuha ng ID itong mga batang to? Hindi na. Do you recognize or does the list of 16 baka mo, 16
Yes.
IDs, do they recognize school IDs?
No, Sir Cito, valid government-issued ID po ang nire-recognize.
Okay, pasensya ka na, nakikipaglaro lang ako sa iyo. Loophole. Hindi ba public school is an extension of a government institution? So therefore, the public school ID should be a legal ID.
We could take a look at that, Sir Cito, but if we could argue that it falls under this other valid government-issued ID with photo, then perhaps we could say na it is an acceptable valid government-issued
And you
ID.
know where I'm leading with this because you're the lawyer in the room. We will always find the solution. Okay, so school ID at the moment is not, but I do hope it can be. A barangay ID as long as there is a photo is acceptable. Pero how many IDs ba? Isa lang o dalawa?
Isa lang po.
Okay,
Isa lang
what are
po.
the other possible IDs? Okay, license, pwede.
Yes, opo. SSS, GSIS, NBI clearance po, pwede. Police clearance, PRC, even po yung mga firearms, yung mga license to own and possess po,
Pero-
PIR, voters ID, senior citizens, yan po.
Yeah, pero John Paulo, if you notice and you see the situation, a majority of our SIM card holder owners are young people
Mhm.
below 21, mostly unemployed. Do you even have a statistics of how many million of these young people are SIM card owners?
we don't have that demographics as of the moment, Sir Cito, yung kung sino yung owner. And
Oh.
in fact, yun po yung I think that could be addressed by the SIM registration, since we don't know the owners of these SIMs as of the moment, so we cannot have a demographics kung which age group owns a certain number of SIMs. So yun po.
Yeah, but I think it would be safe to say that kasi parang yung mga bata nga, yung mga toddler nga may hawak ng tablet eh. By the time they reach what is the usual age that kids have their cell phones na in the Philippines? Would you know? I mean, I don't expect you to know, no, pero
Yeah.
baka sakali lang.
I don't have a kid myself, Sir Cito, so I wouldn't.
Mga kaibigan, binata po, abogado, gwapo, o government official, baka naghahanap kayo ng asawa. but no, Jon Paulo, okay, so assuming that every 10-year-old has a SIM, has a phone, then we're talking millions here. Millions of kids who own those SIM and who can't register. Is it possible for them to register it under the parent's name?
Yes, Sir Cito, the law mandates po that registration of minors should be under the parent or the legal guardian's name. All they have to do is to present the consent of the parent or the legal guardian for them to register. But in most or all of the cases po, it's the parent na who registers the SIM of these minors.
Okay, so and wala namang restriction of how many SIMs a person can own and register under his or her name?
None. Wala pong limit on the number of SIMs.
Okay, so I think we've more or less covered. Now the question is, if at what point in the next 3 months will you determine whether it's a go or no go, or finish or not finish, pass your paper, and what will happen? What will be the next steps for the rest of those who are unable to comply with the SIM registration law?
Sir Cito, the 90-day extension is the final extension, no? As announced din po by Sec Ivan. There won't be any more extension after that. Although the current IRR states that after that period, you still have 5 days within which to reactivate your SIMs. Meaning after the 90-day period, if you don't register your SIM will be deactivated. You won't be able to use any of the services. But after that period, you have 5 days within which you could coordinate with your telcos to have your SIM reactivated if you want to reactivate your SIM. But what we're saying nga po is, please don't wait for that, or please don't wait for your SIM to be deactivated. If you intend to use it, then might as well register it as early as possible na po.
Pero payag ba yung mga telcos? Because, you know, I imagine, okay, sige, punta na lang tayo dun sa SM o sa Mega Mall or wherever para may Globe dun o may Smart dun, or dito, pa-reactivate na lang tayo. Mapupuno naman, there'll be a huge traffic in those outlets. Are the telcos amenable to that solution?
It is mandated by law po kasi yung that there should be a reactivation period. And in the technical working group, which the NTC headed po, which crafted the IRR, the telcos were present when we discussed the 5-day period within which to reactivate those automatically deactivated SIMs.
Baga, yes or no, no choice. Must follow the law. Pero what about the lazy bones? Are there penalties? Will there be a fine for people? Well, of course, the ultimate punishment is you can't use your SIM. You have to get a new SIM. Pagka gano'n na magre-reactivate, may bayad ba?
Wala naman po. Wala pong bayad for reactivation. You have to prove lang po that you are indeed the owner of that deactivated SIM.
Okay, so after this, no, finish or not, pass your papers, and then in the future, all new SIM cards have to be registered by those who buy them. Are you worried that there might be a way of creating fake accounts again. Kasi alam mo, DepCom, I'm scared. I'm really scared, but by what I am reading and hearing and seeing online regarding artificial intelligence being able to follow your, create a voice, okay, na sounds like you, and then is used on the phone, images being stolen, etc. Is the NTC concerned, or how do we prevent people from creating fake accounts?
Yes, Sir Cito, no, that's the sad reality of technology. The SIM registration po, we do not present it as the end-all and be-all solution for these fraudulent or text scams, fraudulent messages or text scams. But what we say is this is an efficient tool which the law enforcement authorities could use to detect and identify those who are perpetrating these types of illegal activities. But we at the NTC po, we are committed to keep to pace with the advancement of technology. If we see that there's a need to improve on a certain regulation, we issue the corresponding regulation. That's how we address po kasi. But we understand that technology is very fast-paced, so we need to keep up po talaga.
Okay, speaking of keeping up, there has been a constant stream of suggestions as well as complaints, because many people have noticed that the NTC, along with the telcos, have been very proactive, informing, alerting people regarding mga scams, also regarding the SIM card registration. But ang nasasabi ng marami, wala bang mas simpleng system where you regularly send out these messages for all of this scam or this spam messages? Just send the number to this number. Kasi parang yung iba, hindi naman nila alam. We need to establish what is the hotline of the NTC for this. Parang yun lang, no? I guess that would be the final point for our conversation, DepCom.
Yes, Sir Cito, we have a hotline number. It's a 24/7 hotline. It's 1682. They can call po doon to report any complaints, including po itong mga text scam or fraudulent text messages. Other than that, they can go to our website po. It's ntc.gov.ph. And then we have a portal there for contra text scam po, wherein they can report.
Okay, ntc.gov.ph or 1682. Anyway, thank you very much, Deputy Commissioner Jon Paulo Salvahan, for your time today. Binata pa po siya, magaling siyang sumagot, available yata. Thank you very much, DepCom. Have a great day. God bless you and all of you at the NTC.
Thank you, Sir Cito. Thank you po sa televiewers natin. Good morning po.
Good morning. Let's now go to our blessing for this week. And again, I say to you, it is from Genesis 26, verse 3. Stay in this land for a while, and I will be with you and will bless you. Whoever needs to read this, baka nagbabala kayo, susuko na kayo, gusto nyo nang mag-abroad, mag-Portugal, etc. The Lord is saying, stay in this land for a while, and I will be with you and will bless you. Thank you for joining us today. I hope the program was helpful in answering your questions regarding SIM registration. And God bless you. Please keep it here on One News.